The sky over Metropolis turned black at noon. Every screen in the city whispered his name. The air smelled of burning metal and blood. And the first body to fall was his mother's. Futuristic Metropolis, a city of glass and light, where hovercrafts weave between neon towers and skyways hum with the pulse of 1,000 lives. But today, the hum is gone. The silence is wrong. It's not the peaceful kind. It's the kind that feels like the world is holding its breath before it screams. Superman descends from the upper atmosphere, a streak of red and blue cutting through the clouds. His cape whips violently in the wind, but his face is unreadable, eyes scanning, ears tuned to every frequency. He's invisible to the human eye now, bending light around himself, a gift from Krypton's dying core, a power he rarely uses. But even unseen, he feels it, something ancient, something watching. Below, the streets are frozen in a grotesque tableau. People stand mid-step, mid-conversation, mid-laugh, their eyes pitch black, their mouths slightly open as if whispering to something only they can see. A child's balloon drifts upward, its strings slipping from lifeless fingers. It pops against a street lamp, the sound unnaturally loud in the dead air. Superman lands silently on a rooftop. The steel beneath his boots is scorched, warped into a symbol. His family crest, the House of L's proudest, but twisted, jagged, wrong. It looks like it's been carved by claws. He crouches, running his fingers over the burn marks. The metal is still hot. That's when he hears it. A voice. Soft. Familiar. Cal. He turns, and there she is. Martha, Kentucky. His mother. Her hair is wild, her skin pale, her eyes bottomless black. She's smiling, but it's not her smile. Mom. His voice cracks just slightly. She tilts her head, like a predator studying prey. You came home, she whispers. Before he can move, the air around her ripples, and she's gone. He rockets upward, scanning the city. The black-eyed figures are moving now, all in the same direction, toward the heart of Metropolis. He follows, weaving between towers, his mind racing. This isn't magic. It isn't tech. It's something else. Something older. At the city's core, the crowd gathers around a massive holographic screen. Static flickers, then resolves into a face. It's his father, Jor-El, but not the way he remembers. This Jor-El's face is cracked like shattered glass, his voice layered with static and something inhuman. My son, the image says, you have been gone too long. We have come to bring you home. The crowd drops to its knees. Superman hovers above them, fists clenched. You're not my father. The hologram smiles, a perfect, chilling imitation of Jor-El's warmth. Then why does your heart believe me? A scream cuts through the air. Superman dives, catching a woman as she falls from a balcony. But the moment his hands touch her, her skin turns cold, her eyes black. She grips his face with unnatural strength. You carry the signal, she hisses. Every heartbeat spreads it. He tears free, launching skyward, but the words stick in his mind. The signal. He retreats to the fortress of solitude, its crystalline spires glowing faintly in the Arctic night. Inside, he runs every scan he can on himself. The results make his stomach drop. There's a frequency pulsing from his body, faint but constant. It matches the one from the city. It's coming from his DNA. A memory surfaces, Krypton's last night. The planet's core collapsing, a shard of it fusing with him as his parents launched him into space. He thought it was just a gift, a power. But what if it was a seed? The fortress trembles. He steps outside and freezes. The sky above the Arctic is filled with shadows. Not ships, not clouds. Shapes. Humanoid but wrong. They move like smoke in water, their edges fraying and reforming. At their center floats a figure in black Kryptonian armor, its surface etched with the same jagged spiral as the rooftop symbol. The figure removes its helmet. It's his uncle, Zor-El. Kal-El, Zor-El says, his voice deep and resonant. You've been carrying our salvation all along, and now you will deliver it. Superman's eyes narrow. Over my dead body. Zor-El smiles. That could be arranged. The shadows surge forward. Superman fights like a storm, heat vision slicing through the dark, fists shattering the ground. But every shadow he destroys reforms, stronger, faster. One wraps around his arm, seeping into his skin. He feels it cold, invasive, searching. He rips it free, but the mark it leaves burns like fire. Zor-El watches, unhurried. You can't win, nephew. Every time you use your power, you feed us. Every punch, every blast, it all brings us closer. Superman's breath catches. He looks at his hands, glowing faintly with the same black light as the shadows. The battle spills into the city. Towers crumble. Streets split open. The infected swarm, their voices merging into a single, deafening chant. Kal-El! 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 Superman pushes higher, trying to draw the shadows away from the people, but they follow, relentless. Then, in the chaos, he sees her again. Martha. She's standing in the middle of the street, untouched by the destruction, smiling that same wrong smile. Come home, son, she says. And behind her, the shadows form a doorway, a swirling vortex of black and red. Zor-El's voice echoes in his mind. Step through, and the pain ends. Superman hesitates. Just for a second, the shadows close in. The Arctic wind howled against the crystalline walls of the Fortress of Solitude. Superman stood in the center of the main chamber, the holographic readouts spinning around him in a dizzying blur of alien symbols. Every scan confirmed the same impossible truth. The signal wasn't coming from the city. It was coming from him, a faint pulse buried deep in his DNA, resonating at a frequency older than Earth itself. It matched the one that had frozen Metropolis and turned its people into black-eyed husks. He remembered Krypton's last night, the chaos, the screams, the blinding light as the planet's core imploded. His parents had told him the shard of the core that fused with him was a gift, a blessing. But what if it was a seed? The fortress trembled. He turned toward the entrance, and the shadows were there again. Dozens of them, gliding across the snow like liquid night. At their center, the figure in black Kryptonian armor stepped forward. The jagged spiral burned across his chest plate. Zor-El, his uncle, dead for decades, except not dead. Kal-El. Zor-El's voice was deep, resonant, and wrong. You've carried our salvation all along, and now you will deliver it. Superman's jaw tightened. You're not my uncle. Zor-El tilted his head, the faintest smile curling his lips. Blood doesn't lie, but it can be corrected. The shadows surged. Superman moved like lightning, heat vision slicing through the dark, fists shattering the frozen ground. But every shadow he destroyed reformed instantly, stronger, faster. One wrapped around his arm, seeping into his skin. He felt it cold, invasive, searching. He ripped it free, but the mark it left burned like fire. Zor-El didn't move. He just watched. Every time you use your power, you feed us. Every punch, every blast, it all brings us closer. Superman's breath caught. He looked at his hands, faint tendrils of black light curling from his skin. He launched into the sky, breaking the sound barrier, heading for Metropolis. But the shadows followed, a swarm blotting out the stars. Below, the city was worse than before. The infected moved in perfect unison, their voices merging into a single, deafening chant. Kal-El! 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 He landed in the middle of the chaos, trying to pull people free. But the moment he touched them, their skin turned cold, their eyes black. One of them, a young boy, looked up at him and whispered, "It's not his fault. He was born to end us." Then the air shimmered. A massive holographic projection filled the sky. Jor-El's face, cracked and flickering. "My son," it said, "you've been gone too long. We have come to bring you home." Superman's voice was steel. "You're not my father." The hologram smiled. "Then why does your heart believe me?" A blast of black energy slammed into him from behind, sending him crashing through a skyscraper. He hit the ground hard, the pavement spiderwebbing beneath him. Zor-El stepped through the dust, his armor glowing faintly with the same black light as the shadows. "You think this is about conquest?" Zor-El said. "No, this is about family. about restoring what Krypton was meant to be. Superman forced himself to his feet. By turning them into monsters? Zor-El's smile widened. By freeing them from weakness. The fight was brutal. Every blow from Zor-El felt like it carried the weight of a dying star. Superman countered with everything he had, speed, strength, heat vision, but every attack only seemed to make Zor-El stronger. And then came the twist. Zor-El raised his hand, and the infected stopped moving. The shadows parted, and through them stepped Lois. Her eyes were black. Her smile was wrong. "Clark," she said softly, "come home." Superman froze. His heartbeat thundered in his ears. Zor-El's voice was a whisper in his mind. "She's already ours. All you have to do is stop fighting." Lois reached out her hand. For a moment, he almost took it. Then the ground beneath them split open, and a wave of shadows erupted, swallowing the street. Superman grabbed Lois and launched into the air, but the shadows clung to her, pulling her back down. Her scream echoed in his skull. He dove after her, and that's when Zor-El struck. A blast of black energy hit him square in the chest, sending him crashing into the ruins of the Daily Planet. The last thing he saw before the darkness closed in was Lois, standing beside Zor-El, her hand in his. The war begins. The sky over Metropolis was no longer a sky. It was a wound, a swirling, blood-red vortex stretched from horizon to horizon, pulsing like a living thing. Superman hovered at the city's edge, the wind howling around him, carrying the stench of burning steel and something far worse, the scent of death. Below, Metropolis was unrecognizable. Towers leaned at impossible angles, their glass facades shattered into jagged teeth. Hovercrafts lay scattered like broken toys, some still smoldering. Streets had split open, swallowing entire blocks into darkness. And in the center of it all stood Zor-El, black Kryptonian armor glinting in the crimson light. Lois at his side, her eyes still black, her smile still wrong. Superman landed hard, the pavement cracking beneath his boots. "Let her go," he said, his voice low, dangerous. Zor-El tilted his head. "She's already gone, Kal-El. You just haven't accepted it yet." Lois stepped forward, her voice soft but laced with something alien. "We could be together. All of us. No more pain. No more loss." Superman's fists clenched. "This isn't her talking." Zor-El's smile widened. "No, it's the part of her you've always ignored." The shadows moved first. They surged from every alley, every broken window, every crack in the ground. A tidal wave of living darkness. Superman launched into them, heat vision blazing, fists striking with the force of meteors. Each shadow he tore apart dissolved into smoke, only to reform seconds later. They were faster now, smarter. They moved in coordinated strikes, forcing him back toward the ruins of the Daily Planet. Zor-El didn't move. He just watched, his hands clasped behind his back, as if this was all a test. A shadow slammed into Superman's chest, knocking him through the planet's shattered globe. He hit the ground hard, the impact sending cracks spiderwebbing through the street. Before he could rise, another shadow wrapped around his throat, cold tendrils digging into his skin. He ripped it free, but more piled on, dragging him down. Zor-El's voice echoed in his mind. "Every heartbeat spreads the signal. Every breath feeds us." Superman roared, unleashing a shockwave that blasted the shadows back. But the moment the energy left his body, he saw it, faint black veins crawling up his arms. He took to the sky, desperate to draw the fight away from the civilians still trapped in the city. But Zor-El was there in an instant, slamming into him mid-flight. The impact sent them both crashing through 3 skyscrapers, glass and steel raining down like deadly confetti. They hit the ground in the financial district, the shock wave toppling what was left of the surrounding buildings. Zor-El rose first, his armor unscathed. "You can't win, nephew. You're fighting yourself." Superman spat blood. "Then I'll beat myself into the ground." The fight was brutal. Every punch from Zor-El felt like it carried the weight of a dying star. Superman countered with everything he had, speed, strength, heat vision, but every attack only seemed to make Zor-El stronger. And then the horror escalated. The shadows began pulling civilians into themselves, merging with their bodies. The infected screamed as their forms twisted, bones snapping, skins stretching into something inhuman. Within seconds, the streets were filled with creatures, half human, half shadow, their mouths filled with jagged black teeth. They charged. Superman fought like a man possessed, tearing through the creatures, trying to reach Zor-El. But for every one he destroyed, two more took its place. Zor-El moved through the chaos untouched, his eyes locked on Superman. Do you see it now? This is evolution. This is Krypton reborn. Superman's voice was raw. This is genocide. Zor-El's smile didn't falter. Genocide is just evolution with purpose. A creature lunged at Superman from behind, its claws raking across his back. He spun, driving his fist through its chest, but when he pulled his hand free, the black veins had spread to his shoulder. He staggered, his vision blurring. The shadows were inside him now, whispering in voices that weren't his own. Stop fighting. Join us. Save them. Zor-El struck again, a blast of black energy slamming into Superman's chest. He hit the ground hard, the impact carving a crater into the street. The world tilted. His ears rang. Through the haze, he saw Lois standing over him. She knelt, her hand brushing his cheek. It's okay, Clark. You don't have to fight anymore. For a moment, he wanted to believe her. Then Zor-El's shadow loomed over them both. This is your last chance, Kal-El. Step through the gate, and your family will be whole again. Superman looked past him and saw it. A massive vortex of black and red swirling in the center of the city, its edges crackling with energy. Through it he could see shapes. Kryptonians. Hundreds of them, all with black eyes, all smiling. The ground shook violently. The vortex expanded, swallowing entire buildings. The air was filled with the screams of the dying and the whispers of the damned. Superman forced himself to his feet, every muscle screaming in protest. I'm not going with you. Zor-El's smile faded. Then you'll die here. He raised his hand, and the shadows surged, a tidal wave of darkness crashing towards Superman. Superman braced himself, but the wave hit with the force of a collapsing star, dragging him down, burying him in cold, suffocating black. The last thing he saw before the darkness closed in was Lois, standing beside Zor-El, her hand in his, and her lips mouthing two words. Help me. The dark truth. The darkness was alive. It pressed against him from all sides, cold and suffocating, whispering in 1,000 voices, some alien, some heartbreakingly familiar. Stop fighting. You've already lost. We are you. Superman's eyes snapped open. He was lying on a surface that wasn't solid, suspended in a void that seemed to stretch forever. Above him, a faint red glow pulsed like a heartbeat. He pushed himself up and froze. The glow wasn't a light. It was a planet. Krypton. But not the Krypton he remembered from his parents' stories. This one was cracked and bleeding molten fire into space, its cities twisted into jagged spires of black crystal. And orbiting it were thousands of shadow forms, each one wearing a face he knew. His mother, his father, his friends, his enemies, all smiling the same wrong smile. A figure stepped out of the void. Zor-El. But his armor was gone now, replaced by a tattered version of Superman's own suit, black where it should be blue, the S crest warped into the jagged spiral. You've been wondering who I am, Zor-El said. His voice was deeper now, heavier. I told you I was your uncle. That was a kindness. Superman's fists clenched. Then who are you really? Zor-El smiled, and his face began to change. The jawline, the eyes, the scar above the brow. Superman staggered back. He was looking at himself. I am you, the other said. 1,000 years from now, after the shadows took everything, after you stopped fighting. Images slammed into Superman's mind, cities crumbling, Earth swallowed by darkness, himself wandering alone through the void, his powers twisted into something unrecognizable. I tried to save them, future Superman said, but the signal was too strong. It was always too strong. So I embraced it, and in doing so, I found Krypton again. Superman's voice was raw. You destroyed Earth to bring back a dead planet. Future Superman's eyes glowed black. I restored Krypton, and now you will too. The void shifted. They were standing in the ruins of Metropolis again, but it was different. The sky was gone, replaced by the swirling vortex, and the city was half consumed by black crystal spires. Lois appeared beside future Superman, her hand in his. She looked at Clark with something between pity and hunger. You can't stop it, she said. Every time you use your powers, you feed the signal. Every life you save brings us closer. Superman shook his head. There has to be another way. Future Superman stepped closer. There is. Stop resisting. Let the signal take you. Together, we can finish what Krypton started. The ground split open, revealing a chasm filled with molten light. From it rose the infected, thousands of them, their bodies half shadow, half crystal. They surrounded Superman, their whispers merging into a single, deafening chant. Kal-El! 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 He fought them, heat vision blazing, fists shattering crystal and shadow alike. But for every one he destroyed, two more took its place. The black veins on his arms spread to his chest. His vision blurred. The whispers grew louder. Future Superman's voice cut through the chaos. You can't kill me without killing yourself. We are the same. Our power is the same. The signal is us. Superman froze. The truth hit him like a punch to the gut. If he destroyed future Superman, he would destroy himself, and maybe take the last of his humanity with him. But if he didn't, the shadows would consume everything. The infected closed in. Lois stepped forward, her eyes locked on his. Clark, please, don't make me watch you die again. He looked at her, really looked, and for a split second he saw something. A flicker, a tear in the black. She was still in there. Future Superman extended his hand. Choose, Kal-El. Step through the gate and save your family, or fight me and doom them all. The vortex roared behind him, its pull growing stronger. Superman could feel it in his bones, in his heartbeat, in the very air. He had two choices. Step through and become the thing he feared most, or destroy himself to save a world that might already be lost. The ground shook violently. The infected screamed. The vortex expanded, swallowing the skyline. Superman's fists clenched. His jaw tightened, and he made his choice. The viral ending. The world was ending in slow motion. The vortex above Metropolis had grown so massive it swallowed the horizon, its black and red swirl tearing the sky apart. Lightning forked through it, each strike freezing in midair like shattered glass. Below, the city was gone. In its place stood a jagged wasteland of black crystal spires, pulsing with the same heartbeat as the vortex. The infected moved between them like ants, their whispers merging into a single, endless chant. Kal-El! 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 Superman stood at the center of it all, his body trembling, the black veins now crawling up his neck. His breath came in ragged bursts. Every heartbeat felt heavier, slower, as if the signal was dragging him down into the same abyss it had claimed for everyone else. Across from him, future Superman, Zor-El no longer, stood tall, his blackened suit rippling with shadow energy. Lois was at his side, her eyes still black, her smile still wrong, but her hand trembled ever so slightly. You've made your choice, future Superman said, his voice echoing like it came from 1,000 mouths. Now you'll live or die with it. Superman's fists clenched. I'm not you. I'll never be you. Future Superman's smile was cold. You already are. They moved at the same time. The impact was apocalyptic. Two gods colliding at the speed of thought. The shockwave flattened the crystal spires for miles, sending shards slicing through the air like razors. They traded blows that cracked the ground open, revealing rivers of molten light beneath the city. Every punch from future Superman carried the weight of a dying sun. Every counter from Superman was fueled by desperation, rage, and the last scraps of hope. The infected scattered, their chant turning into screams as the two titans tore the battlefield apart. Future Superman caught him by the throat, lifting him off the ground. You can't kill me without killing yourself. And you're too weak to make that choice. Superman's vision blurred. The black veins pulsed in time with the vortex above. He could feel it, the signal, trying to pull him apart, molecule by molecule. Then he saw her, Lois. Her eyes flickered, just for a second. The black receded, and he saw the woman he loved staring back at him. Clark, she whispered. It was enough. Superman drove his forehead into future Superman's face, breaking free. He shot into the air, drawing every ounce of power he had left into his body. The light around him bent, then shattered, until he was a blazing spear of pure energy. Future Superman followed, the vortex roaring as if sensing the end. They met in the center of the sky. The explosion was blinding. For a moment, there was nothing but light. It poured over the city, over the infected, over the crystal spires. The shadows screamed as they burned away, their forms unraveling into smoke. Lois collapsed to her knees, her eyes clear again. She looked up at the sky, tears streaming down her face. The light faded. Future Superman was gone. So was Superman. Only his cape remained, burned into the ground at the center of a massive crater. The city was silent. The vortex had vanished. The sky was blue again. Lois picked up the cape, clutching it to her chest. Around her, the survivors began to emerge from the ruins, dazed and broken. And then, a sound, soft, familiar, a child's voice coming from the crater. "Daddy,